In the words of the legendary Lou Gellerman, hello, dog fans, and welcome to the Sound the Siren podcast, because everything matters, including or this week especially being 1-0 in the Fisch and Big Ten era for the University of Washington. As usual, I'm your host, Hooligan7. I'm joined tonight by DJ K. Woody and JCap. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great.
Great,
Go Dogs.
Yeah.
As always, and we'll remind all of our listeners and viewers, we're of course on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sound the Siren UW. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to our show. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video, hit that subscribe button to get notified when we post new videos. And of course, also, if you'd like to support Sound the Siren, you can do so at podcasters.spotify.com/pod/sound the siren pod UW/support. That will be linked on the screen. Without further ado, beverages of choice for the evening. DJ, we'll start with you. What are you sipping this evening, sir?
Just good old-fashioned H2O. I think I mentioned, I told you my kids were sick last week, and I feel like I was coming down with it this week, so I've been like hammering a bunch of water, try to avoid anything long-term. But yeah, water.
That's a wise decision. JCap, how about you, bud?
I'm on a pineapple high noon.
Oh, nice.
I saw that.
And I went and not rated, but partook of the PCC single beer section, and I've got a Holy Mountain Cursed Relics West Coast Pilsner. So it's not bad.
PCC's single beer section is undefeated.
It really is. It really is. All right, and of course, now that we've covered beverages, we've got to talk stupid tweets. JCap, I think you've got a good one, so we'll give you the floor first.
Yeah, the real good one is, I'm not going to go find the tweet. Everyone knows about the tweet. 321 Noel saying that he would eat dog shit if Florida lost to Boston College out of a red Solo Cup.
Florida
and
State.
Then subsequently, yeah. Jeez. Florida State lost to Boston College. And deleted all of his socials, went completely dark on the internet, and everyone is talking about trying to find this guy. So that's probably the stupidest sports tweet in many years. Word of advice, don't tweet things if you're not going to do them. The internet doesn't forget.
No, it really doesn't. DJ, how about you? I think you said you've got a couple.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah, that one's too good though with the eating shit. All right, mine's from Jim Moore at Cougs Go. What's up, Darker Knight?
And we've got Darker Knight.
Yeah.
How are you doing tonight?
Oh, you know. Ready for another dub?
Damn, look at that shoe collection behind you.
Oh, it's nothing. Don't act like that doesn't exist.
Bro's background going crazy.
Good shoe collection, a super stylish hat. You can always be Darker Knight can always be relied on for that, as well as football knowledge and great takes.
Appreciate y'all.
So, DJ, you were talking our buddy Cougs Go.
Yeah, Cougs Go. Shout out to Sad Jim Moore. So anyways, he was responding to Coker. I'll read Coker's tweet first. Coker said, "Do big fans root for their conference mates in big games? Because I ain't about that life." Jim Moore responded by another question for you, Kim. How many times did they show Belichick's kid on the telecast? I stopped counting at 28. Can't wait to see his confused, goofy appearance when he put up 50 on his defense in the Apple Cup. Man, I think I saw that WSU's only put up more than 50 points once in the Apple Cup, and it's 100 years. So good luck. Good luck with that. And the fact that he called him Kim.
And Kim Grinolds aren't the same person.
Yeah. Like, that was probably the best part, is that he called him Kim.
Well, yeah, because there's audio proof in multiple places that Coker and Kim Grinolds are not the same person.
Mm-hmm.
including one of the pieces of audio proof has literally been 2 episodes of this podcast in which Coker came on to talk softball, and he sounds significantly different than Kim Grinolds. Knowledgeable and much less patronizing. Darker Knight, how about you? Do you have a beverage this evening or a stupid tweet that needs to be laughed at?
I actually had a late workout, so I'm just kind of finishing up my little body armor flash. Some real easy, real light tropical punch. No stupid tweets. I was expecting, potentially some stupid tweets from our neighbors down south, but coming off the performance they had, I'm sure they had really not a lot to say. So nothing to add.
Yeah, I've got a couple of stupid tweets, and one of them is at QUIN_QUINLAN. So at Quinn Quinlan or Quinn Thomas, who said, "Nope, year in and year out, Auburn is a tougher place to play than Husky Stadium or Autzen. A record broken 1992 means nothing now." On a similar vein, another Auburn fan talking crap about Husky Stadium noises. He was quote tweeting somebody who said Husky Stadium and Autzen Stadium are both significantly louder than Jordan Hare. And this is at Dalton Odom1, who said, "This is the level of delusion I strive for." In case you forgot what happened at the tail end of the last SEC season, before they played Alabama, who needed a miracle to beat them, Auburn lost at home by 21 points to New Mexico State. Yeah, not
embarrassing.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like you don't get a claim
on
to
us, but
yeah.
that was what, a 6-point game.
Yep.
And John Donovan and Jimmy Lake. Yeah, enough said. No. I also do want to call out a piece of stupid behavior, and everybody, I retweeted it from my account this evening. Let's help Jake Otten in our football office get his rings back, and some stupid ass behavior from the dudes that stole that. That's just unconscionable.
Wait, I missed that. What happened?
So one of the football staffers,
12 championship rings and
like all his
Cal
UW
Poly
rings,
Yeah,
Cal
they
Poly,
got stolen
K-State,
out of his office.
Damn.
Yeah, the UW police Twitter account put out some security pictures of the 2 kids that they saw on the camera. So they're trying to repost it a bunch and see if anyone can identify them and track them down.
How did 2 kids get back there?
Who knows?
Oh, man. Yeah. If they're going to try to sell that, then somebody better snatch those up.
Some IP address tracking.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's go ahead and move on into our recap of the opener against Weber State. We're going to start a new podcast tradition tonight, going back to and a callback to the Jim Owens era of Washington football, in which the best player on the defense got awarded a purple helmet. From now on Sound the Siren, as we look back at the week before's game, we're going to award a purple helmet on each side of the ball. But before we award those purple helmets, let's just talk more broadly about what we saw in the Weber State game, what we liked, any causes for concern. Who'd like to go first on their thoughts on the Weber State game?
I can kick it off. Being at the stadium, I was pleasantly surprised of the turnout we got for the first game. Typically we get the slow arriving crowd. I might come, may not, but it was a solid 66,000 in there. Loud, proud. Players definitely fed off that. I think just starting out as slow as they did to me, I thought that was to expect, being the first game. Trying to fill out an opponent, no matter if it was just Weber State. Shot ourselves in the foot early a bunch of times. Just, you know what I mean? Just formational things, missed plays. It was just really sloppy. But
that penalty on the touchdown,
which was a bad call.
It was iffy, but it was not even necessary. Yeah, it was not even necessary for him to
relative
hold.
to a lot of other things that happened all night long in that game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was probably
or
hold,
missing
but it was out of the play.
player coming back on the field to take Quentin out at
Oh
the
my
knee.
god!
So you can't tell me that wasn't instructed.
Yeah, that was messed up.
I ain't seen that. No. How many football games have we seen and been
Mm-hmm.
to? Have you ever seen anything like that? Coming off the sideline to do
Not
that?
once.
No.
Come on, man.
I think he'd been like, I think in his defense, I think he'd been on, ran off, and ran back on, but still, like, it ain't hockey.
No.
Like,
But no, to get back to the game, it was about what I expected. I didn't expect, it to be a close game. I get it. Like some of us still have nightmares of a few years ago, but I had a feeling this team would take care of business. Our coaching staff is too good. Players are too good. And yeah, the game, I didn't get too high, too low. I know some folks were disappointed we weren't in the top 25 after the game. It's like, guys, I mean, come on. We're not this week. Like, that's not how college football works. Like, we have to kind of stack these.
Yeah, we could have won by 100 and we wouldn't have gotten into the top 25.
Yeah. And you want the players to remain motivated as well. You know what I mean? Like, wait till we come back home to face Michigan and have the record to kind of back up where we are. And then we can start bragging about where we belong. But for the most part, we have a lot of room to grow. I believe the offensive line, to me, is still a big concern. Not necessarily that I don't think they'll hold up. It's just finding that solid five. I know Jed mentioned continuing to move around pieces throughout the game just to kind of see different combinations of guys, kind of see how they play, just because he said, in his words, we have 7 guys for 5 spots. Which is a good thing. It means he's really confident in the talent we have. Is just trying to figure out where exactly those pieces may fit and what combinations work. If you ask Jonah Coleman, it really doesn't matter. So I think we're going to be good either way. But other than that, I wanted to see a little bit more of our pass rush. And yeah, so just the trenches in general. Like to see a little more dominance, but I think we will see that moving forward starting this Saturday.
I guess I'll go. I didn't really have much expectations at all because of just everyone being new staff. I mean, obviously, pretty high on the new staff, but yeah, I thought it'd be a little bit more closer the first half, maybe within like a 1-score game. So we're up by 14, so should have been easily more too. So I was pretty happy with that. So yeah, I was I felt good about the game overall. Probably a little bit better than I thought I would at the end of the game. I mean, not perfect, but like I didn't expect that by any means. So, yeah, some bright spots. I mean, if we're going to the helmets, offense, I mean, who's going to say anyone else other than Jonah Coleman? That's my guy there. Everyone's guy. On defense, I mean, this may also kind of be pretty obvious, but maybe not. But Thad Dixon, like he's super impressive out there. Like I've been a big fan of his since he came to UW last year. I think me and Hood have liked him, and yeah, he looks amazing. I mean, you can already see the improvement he had from last year, which I thought he was pretty decent last year. And yeah, he was like, I don't know, he's making every play possible and hyping up other guys, and yeah, you can tell he's like a team leader out there too. So yeah, I mean, offensive line is just going to be a work in progress for a little bit. It's one area we can't afford any injuries, so hopefully they can find a good 5, like Dark Knight was saying. Yeah, I mean,
and that's why the to me, sorry to jump in there,
no,
but
yeah,
that's why
ahead,
the injury to Q is such a pain in the butt for us. Because he's such a good blocker, and in that situation, while we're still figuring things out on the O-line, I mean, he's essentially almost like an extra tackle out there because he's in the space of 2 years, he's become just a beast of a blocker at the tight end position.
Some people have said that he's the best blocking tight end we've had since Disley, who was also an elite
monster.
Yeah, blocker. So yeah, it's going to be a big loss. Hopefully, it's not too long. Yeah, I mean, defense looks good. I mean, they got
Michigan.
Yeah, I know. Oh, he should. I think he should. So yeah, defense looked good. I mean, our interior defensive line got ran on a little bit, but I mean,
I think it was a little. I think it was just a little situational. I think I think the defense was still trying some things as well.
yeah, I think so too.
I think if we see that again, this week, or particularly like stretch runs to the right side, that then it will become more of an area of concern for me. I agree with you. I think Dad played exceptionally well. I think the secondary was, I think I said it in one of the group chats or during the halftime space that I ran with Stein from Dub Dub, that was, yeah, the whole secondary was.
Yeah, I mean, their quarterback was not good, but I mean, I give more props to our secondary for shutting things down, because I wasn't at the game, but the people I talked to at the game said, like, nobody was open when their guys were going downfield for them, except for that one play late in the game down the middle. Like, our DBs were shutting them down all night.
Yeah, like that's
big difference from last year.
A bad FCS offense. Like,
yeah,
he didn't play particularly well, but part of why he looked as bad as he did was he did not have I don't think, the pass rush didn't get home, but he didn't exactly also have a lot of time. There was pressure coming and I think his arm slot, I'm actually surprised that we didn't get an interception, considering like how he throws the ball. But like, I think it was like, I think Jacob Sharp is their receiver. I went back and watched some tape from last year. Like, they've got some pieces that they're not a bad offense, and it's a top 25 FCS team. So to keep them under 100 yards of passing offense, that's an encouraging sign. I'm not saying it's like we shut down Ohio State or Oregon's passing game.
And I will say,
but if Oregon's passing game,
no, I was just gonna say a positive note to that is both sides kept it very vanilla. You can tell this is, both Steve and Jed may have run like day 2 or 3 of install type plays. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't want to show a lot. It was almost I sent a tweet out. It was almost a feeling out of, let's run our basic concepts and see how well we execute, and I'll grade our execution and then move on from there. Because you shouldn't have to show all that much against that type of opponent. It's almost a pro approach. And you can kind of see that in what was called. So a lot of folks were, curious why Jeremiah Hunter didn't get the ball. Well, if you look at the route concepts, they didn't ask him to do a lot. So you got to kind of read the pieces. He actually did a good job of being a diversion to help open up a lot of things for Giles and other receivers. So he did a good job.
Well, and the Decker touchdown, his post was
cleared
that side of the field out. And the one, I agree with you there that I think we were pretty vanilla, and like where we started to add in a little bit of flavor. That play in particular was, it's just, logical progression. We're going to run the jet, the jet sweep action, and then fake that. And then there was another fake to the other side. But that's also putting things on tape for other defenses to think about. And then you can build things off of that. But we haven't heard from JCap yet. JCap, what do you think of the game Saturday night?
Yeah, kind of similar to DJ. I mean, I didn't really have any sort of expectations coming into this game. I mean, it's been talked about ad nauseum all offseason. We're returning 1 to 2 starters, entirely new coaching staff on both sides of the ball. So I really had no expectation other than to come out with a W. So to come out in the way that we did was great to see. Holding them to only 3 points, less than 100 yards passing, which you mentioned. It was nice to see a guy like Zach Durfee get a full game under his belt and make some plays. Jed was talking about him in his presser. He said, he made some plays just because he's really talented, but you can tell that he hasn't played in 2 years and he's kind of getting his feet back underneath him. I would definitely agree also with DJ on the purple helmets for both offense and defense. But I think you could almost give that purple helmet to anybody in the secondary. I definitely agree with Thad, but also Ephesians. I mean, there's a reason that we didn't hear his name almost the entire game, considering that they didn't even try him for most of that entire game. But yeah, I was very impressed with what I saw, just like Darker Knight said, the execution of the very basic concepts. And if we see a little bit more flavor coming out next week in Eastern Michigan or the following week in the Apple Cup, and we're still able to say that this secondary is locking people down, and our offense is executing at a really high level, then I think we're trending in the right direction for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, Price Suck was my second choice, and that penalty on him was stupid.
Pretty
That was
much
a
all
bad
the
call.
penalties on us were not great.
They're always
Yeah, I
bad,
mean, it was
right?
closer to an OPI than a DPI
There was-
on that one. But
Yeah,
You
for
guys
real.
are talking about guys on defense.
I mean, honestly,
There
you
was-
just shouldn't have thrown a flag on
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah. No, I was gonna say you guys are talking about guys on defense. There was one dog all night who I think outshined everybody else that you guys have not mentioned, and that's Alfonso Tupatala.
that's
The
Yep.
versatility
that's where I was
that-
going. That's where my
the
proponent was going to go.
versatility and growth he has shown and he's putting on tape is just going to help him moving forward. He looked like Braylon setting the edge. I mean, he's stonewall with one arm, keeping his outside arm open, had enough speed to cut off any type of cutbacks, forcing everything inside. He's exactly what you wanted. And then he was always a good blitzing linebacker, so it's almost, why don't you just keep him on the edge and get more speed on the field with, different packages? Because we went to a NASCAR package where we had 4 defensive ends on the field, and they were causing all type of havoc. And to what Hooligan was saying, although we didn't get the sacks we wanted, we were causing a lot of lateral movement from the quarterback, which he got off his spot almost immediately and caused a lot of disruption. And the defensive line definitely worked in conjunction with the secondary. And I think moving forward I really like, the thought process. And let's move, let's have Loy on one side and Alfonso on the other side. And let's see how that works. And he stood out to me. I mean, whether it was making tackles in the backfield, doing his assignment when he did play, in the middle, calling the defense and setting the tone, he did that as well. Didn't really have a lot of missed assignments or missed tackles. So he flashed for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him because, I thought he was a beast too. And he's gotten better every year. So, I mean, he is like 25, so he should be getting better. But as long as he doesn't drop the ball in front of the end zone one more time, I think he's going to have a monster season.
Yep, I definitely think so. Had a great game. I'll call out briefly. Yeah, I think so is my purple helmet on the defense for sure. Of course, it's Jonah on the offense because, I think I might have undersold how good our running back room is. What I also really like to see is, and this was a great point that was made on the 4th and Inches podcast this week, that like that first carry or the first couple of touches for Cam, it was like, okay, he's kind of knocking the rust off. And then there were the next couple carries are foot in the ground and go, foot in the ground and go. And he had, even on that little swing pass to the sideline that picked up a bunch of yards, like he was looking for the cutback laner to see if he could pick up a blocker rather than taking it out of bounds. And then, of course, with what we saw in limited with a couple of touches out of Adam Muhammad.
Oh my, he's so
this
good.
team has
special.
Yeah,
this team has 3 dudes
3
at
dogs.
running back. And that's not to say anything ill or to knock Sam or Daniel Nagata.
Those 3 are a different level.
Like these guys are just at a different level and can do some really, if we get decent line play this year, it's gonna be fun. And like I can't remember honestly, like I don't think, to talk briefly about Jonah, the last time we had a true bell cow like this was Miles.
Yeah. Oh, I had multiple people reach out to me that are like casual Husky fans, not diehards like us, and they're like, dude, Jonah Coleman is a fucking beast. Like, so many people reach out to me, and I was like, yep, I already knew. But I mean, he looked even better this game. Maybe because of the colors he was wearing, but probably more so just his play.
Proof of concept. Check.
Yep. And could you imagine? I saw some people say this, like, if we had him last year for our natty run, or almost natty run.
If we it would have been lights out.
I don't remember where it was. I was joking about wanting to live in the multiverse where Cam stayed healthy last year. I don't remember whether that was on an episode or a space or.
Yeah,
I think that was last week. We were talking about that.
Yeah,
either post show or on the show.
Yeah, like just to see what because that well, and speaking of I think one of the biggest impacts of losing Dylan Johnson in the national championship game was that Mike was not comfortable, and that was because Dylan was such a beast in pass pro. One of the first time that I saw Cam Davis, even after that, the first play that Cam Davis had in this game was a blitz pickup. He stuck his nose at, just popped, he didn't pancake the guy, but he was right where he needed to be, and his the oncoming defender wasn't oncoming anymore. So I will also I will say a couple of secondary or extra purple helmets. To your point, Darker Knight, about the crowd and the environment, I think one of them goes to Husky Nation and getting 66,000 people there for an 8:00 kick in the summer on a nice day in Seattle. And then I'll also give an extra little purple, maybe a mini purple helmet to the Big Ten Network for airing and the whole video of.
Bro, that was
an
so
unedited say
cold.
That was sick.
That was so cold.
I know.
I was trying to stay calm because it was late at night. Things kind of wind down at my house around that time, but I was almost bouncing out of my seat on the couch, ready to jump up and be let's go.
Yeah, that got me hyped.
That was awesome.
One thing that I didn't like from that game, take Denzel off punt return, please.
Yes.
We don't need that anymore.
I know.
It's the risk for the reward that you could get is not worth it.
Yep.
Do not put him back there anymore.
Yeah, because
please.
I mean, I know we had Rome back there last year, but for one, that's just different. It's Rome. Oh yeah, for some, that's just Rome. But also, we had so much more depth. If he happened to go down, which I'm glad he didn't, we had J-Mac, we had Polk, we had Denzel. Could have stepped up, maybe. Yeah, we don't have all those guys.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we do have depth there. It's just unproven young talent depth.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we do have depth. But
keep
different
back
kind.
there.
Not
Leonardo is somebody that still returns.
You're expecting Denzel
relied on to be an every down player.
Right. You're expecting Denzel to be your wide receiver 1, 2. If you don't have proven depth behind him, or at least experienced depth behind him, there's no reason to put him back there and just risk that, especially against a Weber State.
Yeah, I will also say I think there's one other guy on offense that we haven't really talked about that deserves some kudos, and that's Giles Jackson.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Great game for Giles, and a lot of things to come for him, I think, this year. And I think we've got some. By no means, of course, would I say that. I'll say it this way: the drop off from the big three last year may not be all that far. It's not going to be the same because those are three.
It'll never be the same.
100 picks.
I don't think we'll ever have those three.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's.
But yes, I agree.
That was multi-generational, but it's also not we're not running me out there at wide receiver. This would be a problem.
But also shout out to Giles for sticking around. I mean, he had every opportunity to get out of here and go be a top target somewhere else, and he stuck around, and he's going to reap the benefits of that. Just as a leader in that room.
Yep. Let's go ahead and move around and talk about what's coming in the Big Ten Conference this week before we preview the Husky game against Eastern Michigan. First matchup on the docket is tomorrow night, Indiana State at Indiana. What do we think?
Indiana State versus Indiana, is what you said? Oh, if it was hoops, I might have gave Indiana State a chance if Larry Bird was coming out.
Wait, are you sure? I thought it was Western Illinois.
Yeah, I think it's Western Illinois.
Oh, then. Yeah. Oh, okay. You're correct. That's my bad. That was ESPN
Same thing.
Pulled up the wrong thing.
Yep. Same result. Doesn't really matter, but
yeah. That's Indiana. They better win that.
Western Illinois, Indiana State, state of emergency. It don't matter. They can get
Yeah. There's not even a line or odds on that game.
Yeah. That's my bad. Yeah. For some reason, it pulled up a previous year's
schedule. They don't allow betting on those kinds of games, apparently?
No.
Yeah.
They have no idea what to put.
And then the one that does have a line, and that's a 6:00 kick on Fox Sports 1, and that's Duke visiting Northwestern, where Northwestern is a 2-point favorite, and the over/under on this one is at 37.5.
That's at Northwestern's temporary stadium that seats like 15,000 people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Texas has
Jesus
bigger, high schools
Christ.
has bigger stadiums.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Duke.
Yeah, looks like Northwestern's a 2-point favorite in that game.
Yeah.
I think Malik Murphy can win that game.
My strongest take is I'm taking the under. I would take the under. Like, granted, Miami is a good team, but Miami of Ohio is probably one of the better teams in the MAC this year.
Yeah, I don't know if Big Ben's coming out that tunnel anytime soon. So,
no.
I don't know. Under, but Northwestern.
You're the anti Aiden Childs this week, Hooligan. If you're betting, bet the under.
Well,
oh my!
Because Aiden proved so prophetic with that call.
How much did it pay you?
I think.
Yeah, well, and the next one on the docket is a big one at the Big House. A 9 a.m. kick on Fox. Number 3 Texas visiting number 10 Michigan. The line is Texas minus 7.5 with the over under at 42.
Take the over. Take it. Take Texas by
20.
Yeah. Yep.
Texas by 20.
Yep.
Michigan's offensive line got bullied by Fresno last week, and I watched Will Johnson get routed up by a Fresno midget, so I'm chill. I think Texas got this.
If Michigan can't get pressure with their front four, it's going to be a long day in the Big House because their secondary is nowhere near as good as it was last year. Although they do have not to kind of confuse Husky fans, but the grandfather of that defense is Wink Martindale, so he's actually their defensive coordinator. So Jesse Minter and Mike McDonald, that's who they learned the defense under. He's actually there. He just doesn't have the same pieces as they had last year. So I think with the speed Texas added in the offseason, and their offensive line being better, and I see Michigan getting it handed to them late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To go back to what we were talking about earlier with the Huskies not being ranked in the top 25, I don't mind it as much, but I think it is an interesting show of disparity in that Michigan was ranked top 10 with much bigger questions at the quarterback position. Clearly, it's anything but an orgy going on right there right now. As big, if not bigger, questions on the offensive line. The losses yes, they still have Mason Graham and Kenneth Clark, but they lost a ton of the depth that made that unit. They don't have Chris Jenkins anymore. They lost a ton of the depth that made that unit effective. They don't have Mikey, in the secondary anymore. Yes, they brought in some pieces.
Michael Bear, Chris
Jenkins. They have a
Jenkins.
less proven coach.
They don't have Keon Smith.
Less proven head coach.
They lost a lot of big pieces.
They don't have Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can see them being I think Michigan should legitimately have been ranked top 25 team to start the year, but top 10? No. Just no. I think, so are we all in agreement? Texas minus the points and the over?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, well, definitely Texas and Texas covering.
Yep.
For sure.
Another 9 a.m. kick on this one on Big Ten Network. The Bowling Green Falcons travel to Happy Valley to play number 8 Penn State, who is a 35-point favorite over under at 49.5.
Penn State wins. Penn State covers.
Yeah. Penn State's chilling.
Well, covering,
yeah.
I don't know. It's 35-point, but they probably will, but they win.
I'm not saying all offensively.
I'm
I'm saying defensively, too. That's just a tough place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to cover
That was
points.
why I hesitated for a second, and then I remembered Penn State's defense, and I'm like, yeah, they're covering. And Aller, I'm not saying it's Drew Aller showed something this last weekend. He's a different quarterback than he was a year ago. They have a guy at receiver now that I don't think they had last year in Harrison Wallace. it's moving in the right direction. I was impressed by Penn State this weekend. Moving on to another 9 a.m. kick. This one with no line because it's Rhode Island at the Premature Fireworks Special Factory. Minnesota Golden Gopher, not so Golden Gophers.
The one Big Ten team that lost.
Sounds like a March
They
Madness
celebrated like they
special.
won, though.
Yeah. I mean, they'll win this time.
They better.
They'll cue up fireworks.
If they lose to Rhode Island,
They better hold off on the fireworks regardless. But yeah, they'll win.
yeah. Yep. Moving on, the last of the 9 a.m. kicks. Akron, fresh off their 52-3, I believe, loss in the Big House, travels to Piscataway to play Rutgers, who is a 22.5 point favorite, over under at 38.5. I'll take Rutgers on the points.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rutgers wins. I mean, I don't know if they cover.
You said 22.5?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they cover, but I think this is a big game for Kyle Monga. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think if they cover, it'll be late.
Jonah Coleman late game against Akron.
I think it's three scores. I don't know if it's 22.5 though.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 2 in the great question. One of the great questions of the 2024 Big Ten season: can the Hawkeyes offense? It's Cy-Hawk. It's Iowa State at Iowa at 12:30 on CBS Paramount. Iowa is a 3-point favorite, over under at 35.5.
Take the under, and I'm taking Matt Campbell to upset Iowa.
Oh,
agreed.
Oh, all right,
agreed.
No, I'm going Iowa. I say Iowa wins and they cover. I mean, it's only by 3, but I think they probably can win by like 10, maybe.
Yeah, I think.
Can Iowa score 10?
Iowa State's defense is really good too.
Yeah.
I think they can. I think. Well, we'll see. We'll see. The telltale sign will be if the return of Kirk Ferentz back from his suspension for the recruitment of Cade McNamara. If that offense decides to suddenly look like an Iowa offense and seriously considers punting on third down, we'll know. But I think actually I'm going to take Iowa and I'll lay the 3. But I definitely will be on the under on this. I would definitely be on the under if I was a betting man.
That's crazy. 35.5 is the line.
Yeah.
That's so low.
Yeah. Another 12:30 game. This one on the Big Ten Network. It's Michigan State. Jonathan Smith travels to Maryland, who had a pretty damn good week 1. Maryland is a 9.5 point favorite, over under at 44.5.
Take the over.
Yeah.
And I think Maryland wins the game.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Maryland as well.
By themselves.
Yeah, I could see that being a late shootout.
Yep. The other 12:30 game involving a U and a UW. This one's South Dakota at Wisconsin. No line on this one because it's an FCS versus an FBS. I'll take the Badgers. It's not going to tell me a whole lot. They're going to need it. I thought Wisconsin was going to be improved this year. That hasn't been borne out yet. We won't learn whether that's the factor, whether that's true or not this week by any stretch.
Yeah, I'll take Wisconsin. I can see them sleepwalking in this one, but I think they win the game. What was the line? What was the line on that one?
There isn't one. FCS versus FBS.
Yeah, I was going to do whatever it was. I was going to say take that.
We've got an interesting non-conference matchup with Kansas traveling to Illinois. Kansas is the number 19 team in the country. They are a 4.5 point favorite on the road with an over/under at 57.5.
That's tough. I mean, if Kansas is at home, I'll pick them easily. But not that Illinois is a tough place to play, but it's just an away game. You know how that is in college football.
Yeah,
I'm taking Kansas to cover
the points. I'll probably take the under.
Yeah. Kansas will win.
I think Kansas wins, but I think it's like a last minute field goal type
I
thing?
think
Or
Illinois
no,
has
you think they're going to
a
win
solid
easily?
defense, but Kansas has too many weapons.
Yep.
They do though. Yeah.
Neil and Jalen Daniels. Yeah, Kansas wins this one, and I don't think that they're overly tested by it. 4:30 on the Big Ten Network. Western Michigan travels to the shoe with Ohio State, a 38-point favorite and an over/under of 54.5.
Take the over. Ohio State covers the points.
Barbecue chicken. Give it to me. Yeah.
Jeremiah and Emeka are going to roast those. Western Michigan, I don't even know what their mascot is. Broncos.
It's a bad weekend for the Broncos.
Broncos are just going to get cooked this weekend, period.
They ain't riding nowhere, I'll tell you that, but.
Yeah. Except the glue factory. Next one is also a big one. Unranked teams as it stands now, but Colorado travels to Lincoln to play Nebraska at 4:30 on Peacock. Nebraska is a 7-point favorite, over under at 56.5.
If I was a betting man, I'd put all the money I have on Nebraska.
Damn, really?
You know,
Yes.
That confident?
Yes.
That
I
confident,
thought
though?
the same thing until that what was he? Receiver? Who came out and said that you really can't compare Shador to Dylan Raiola. And he stood on it. He said it again. They asked him, like, are you sure you know what you're saying? He's like, yeah.
Jimmy Horn.
I get it. Like, I'd stand up for my guy, too. But the way it came out, I know it's going to be bulletin board material. So we'll see.
Was it Travis Hunter?
It's an old school rivalry. Old school Big 8, Big 12 rivalry. It's hard to see Colorado going into Lincoln, beating them at home with that crowd. I think it'll be a close game, but I have Nebraska close.
I actually don't think it's going to be particularly close. I think Colorado
I don't
will
think
score
so
some
either.
points, but I think Nebraska pulls away as the game progresses because of the defense and the fact that Colorado still doesn't have an offensive line. And I think Nebraska has a lot of motivation to absolutely just beat that ass. And I would not want to be Shador Sanders Saturday night.
Yeah, I think Nebraska wins comfortably.
Comfortably. Whew.
Yeah, because honestly,
I don't know.
Colorado is Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter, and the rest of the team is Weber State. So,
well, no. Jimmy Horn's also a good player. Like they've got a couple, but again, the problem with Colorado is they don't have big people that are like
the line players both sides. Yeah,
and that spells defense. That still spells problems against a team that actually has a pretty darn good defense, and is built from that side of the ball first. And is evolving and improving on the offensive side. Yeah, I think this.
I guess I'm just judging off of Nebraska didn't look all that explosive week one, and so I don't know what their skill will do against Colorado when you're just looking at skill. Now in the trenches, yeah, I see what you're saying, but if you're matching up against skill, I don't know if Dylan's going to have a fun day throwing the ball either. So that's why I leave it up in the air. But yeah, it's going to be a good one either way.
All right, moving on for the second consecutive week. Our friends in our feathered friends play a team from Idaho. This time, Boise State traveling to Oregon for a 7:00 game on Peacock. Oregon is a 21.5-point favorite. The over/under is 60.5.
Give me Boise
with the points.
Ashton Jeanty. I don't know about the points, but give me Boise.
You're wild for that.
I am wild, but I don't really.
I mean,
I'm pulling lead course.
I mean, we all watched them against Idaho.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Slow down.
As much as I would want that to happen, I just think.
Oh, I would love to be wrong in this. Yeah.
I just think they're embarrassed of what happened week one, and although I think Idaho did enough to expose their weaknesses, and Boise State's front is going to feast if they do not block better. But I expect Ashton to go over 150 yards rushing, and I think it's a field goal touchdown game in the fourth quarter. But I have Oregon winning the game.
I think if Ashton goes 150 and multiple touchdowns, I think Boise wins this game.
How many? 150 and how many touchdowns?
150 and more than one touchdown. I think Boise has a legitimate shot.
Boise State has one of the best offensive lines in the country. So it could be. It could
and
get.
I think that's going to keep that. It's going to get interesting. I think this game is actually, in a lot of ways, it's going to come down to what Oregon can get. The concern for Boise State is that they did not play defense that well.
That was
That's valid. That's very valid.
And this is a significant step up in class in terms of what the opposing offense can do to them. I will say I'm going to apologize to Bo Nix and all of us calling him Captain Checkdown. It turns out it's not just Bo Nix. It's just the Oregon offense.
And he's better at it than Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
So far.
Well, Dylan can't throw the ball past me. And I'm standing right in front of him. So, I mean, you watch him throw, you know he ain't got nowhere near the arm strength of Bo Nix. So he kind of has to check down. So the offense kind of marries what he is good at doing. So that's why you've seen like efficient numbers, but in no world should you throw 49 times and only have 370 yards in college. That just lets you know there's no explosiveness in that offense.
With the athletes that they have outside, it's a strategy that it's a strategy that can probably be pretty successful against Boise State, given the deficiency on that we saw last week from Boise State. However, if they're still employing that strategy, say 11 weeks from now,
3 weeks from now,
3 weeks from now, but I'm saying just with what we saw from our secondary, being lock up, short passes were either like, okay, you're going to complete it, but you're going to get stopped right there, or it's going to get batted away or taken away. Short passing against this defense is not going to be a recipe for success. Unless you have like elite, like game breaking, like Xavier Worthy speed, and that's not what Oregon has at the receiver position.
Darker Knight, did you say so Oregon's favored by 21, right? Do they win by more than that?
No.
You think?
No. I think it's going to be
I think Oregon wins, but they don't cover.
I think they win by 2 scores. I'm not saying they win by like 40 or nothing, but
yeah, and I think it's an interesting matchup of the running games between Genty and Jordan James and the pieces that Oregon has in their backfield. But
I'm curious if they pack the box and force Dylan to throw. Do they, with that scheme, are they bold enough to take those shots, or are they just kind of stay within the confines of what's been working?
And on the flip side of that, does Oregon try that strategy and force the game into Maddox Madsen's hands? Because you know what Genty can do to you.
I mean, yeah, Genty could hurt you out the backfield catching the ball too. So they gotta be worried about that.
Yep.
Yeah, give me Boise by 3.
Oh man,
I'd love to see him go 0-4 against Boise State.
That zone blocking scheme is nice. If you watch Boise State's zone blocking scheme, you're literally giving him cutback lanes. So you either over pursue or you're patient. Either way, he's either going front side or you're giving him a hole or cutback side. So that's going to be interesting to see how Oregon defends that.
All right, and we'll move on to the final game of the weekend. This time it's probably the team from the conference that I was maybe most impressed by this past weekend. And that's Utah State visiting the Coliseum, number 13 USC, who is a 28.5 point favorite, a 63.5 over under. I think USC wins and covers.
I owe Lincoln an apology. I told him he couldn't win big games, but there's no team that I trust less with expectations than USC. So He'll probably prove me wrong, but I think USC wins this.
Yeah, D'Anton Lynn, him coming over as a defensive coordinator, he already kind of showed why he got paid what he did. And I just think, as aggressive as he coaches now, I just don't see this being a game. For sure.
Imagine that a defensive coordinator the last 2 years, well, especially 2 years ago. Man, I can't believe they had Grinch for so long.
This is the first time a Lincoln Riley team is going to have a decent defense.
Yeah,
Like,
that's all he needed.
Oklahoma too.
Yeah, that's all he needed was a decent defense, and he probably has at least one national championship, either Oklahoma or maybe that first year at USC. Probably
USC
not
fresh
win it
off
there.
the retirement of Caleb Williams' jersey.
Yeah, still that.
Which they do. I like that tradition. They do it for their Heisman Trophy winners. It's
USC wins. I don't know. They're favored by 28.5.
I don't think Utah State. Remember, Utah State fired their coach like 3 weeks.
Oh
before
yeah,
the
I forgot.
season due to.
I forgot all that actually. Okay, maybe they cover.
Yeah, Zachariah Branch might score a couple of times, and Kyron Hudson might score a couple of times, and those two.
Kyron Hudson's catch is
cover the
probably catch of the year, and that was week 1.
Would you see the?
I don't know if it's going to get beaten.
There was a crazy
the interception is up there too.
Yeah. The interception was crazy, but that he wasn't.
Yeah,
Kyron was double covered.
That was a crazy contested. Yeah, catch like that. Yeah.
The other one was more clean, like he just snatched it. Like
it was clean.
It was a little bit of a bobble, but yeah, it was still.
It wasn't contested at all.
Yeah,
being contested between two defenders is crazy.
So the other one's more clean. This one's probably harder, for sure.
Degree of difficulties.
Yeah.
Much higher. All right, well, let's talk about it. Eastern Michigan and the Eagles travel to Husky Stadium on Saturday to play the Dogs at 12:30 Washington. We are a 25-point favorite. What do we expect to see? What are we worried about? What do we think?
Doing some scouting on them earlier, just kind of rewatching their game. I just had some notes here. They like to throw it to Oren Singleton. He's a receiver. I mean, he's only like 5'9", 164 pounds, but he can move. He's explosive. Other than that, they don't really have a lot of team speed offensively. They do have a running back who is from Seattle with the Chiefs Health. His name is Dante McMillan. Decent sized guy. He actually has a burst as well. He can move. And then the quarterback is Cole Snyder. He's a transfer that, they've been raving about. He's just really efficient with the ball. Don't put the ball in harm's way. It's kind of hard to judge based off their opponent because they didn't really do too much, and it was still relatively, close game.
But they still only put 28 points on UMass. There's orders of magnitude difference between UMass and Washington.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I think they're a typical MAC team. Like, they're going to come in and try to be physical. They have decent size, up front, but no one I fear is like, watch out for this guy bending the corner, getting after our quarterback. So it's actually going to be a good rounder for the offense to kind of have that game where you're building some confidence. I see Jonah Coleman going for at least 150 yards on the ground because their defensive line was getting pushed around by their defensive line's getting pushed around by UMass, so I can only imagine what our offensive line's going to do. And
UMass ran for 125 yards.
Oh, yeah. And their DBs aren't really savvy, so I could definitely see us taking advantage of them in the passing game, off those run fakes as well. So I got the Dogs winning big. I'd say I have a final score of 45-13.
Yeah, I kind of echo a lot of that. My kind of thing that I'm watching is Jeremiah Hunter. I want to see him get involved. I mean, obviously, we don't want to just force feed him the ball just because he didn't get any last game. But
like the almost interception that Will threw trying to force him the ball.
Exactly. But I do want to see him get involved in the offense. I agree. I think Jonah Coleman will go for 150. I want to see Adam Muhammad get a few more touches. And if we are able to yeah, I want to see him get some run. If we're able to build up a lead like Darker Knight's predicting there, I want to see Adam get some run for sure. Another thing that I think it was Evan brought up in the group chat is seeing what we have at tight end behind Quentin, and with that injury situation, because we're one injury away from having Owen be our tight end 2 now with Quentin down. So I want to see him get in the game, see what he does as a blocker. Or at least
tight end 3.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, at this point, he kind of is right now.
Well, he is too.
He's one. He's one
injury
injury away for Decker or for Kalecki to jump into a tight end 2 real consistent playing role. So I'd like to see him get some run and see what he can do in the blocking game and also in the pass game. But yeah, I think that we definitely cover. I'm gonna say it's 41-17.
Yep.
You guys got high scores. More than last week. All right. Okay. Let's see.
Again, they gave up 125 yards on the ground to UMass. And Quentin would have had one, if not for that kind of ticky-tack holding on Quentin. Jonah would have had 4 scores and 160 against Weber State.
And with a little bit more touch, Hooligan would have beat me to the punch on the first touchdown score this year.
I will say, if I'm allowed to briefly pat myself on the back, I don't remember what our exact rushing total was, but I think at one point midway through the fourth quarter, we were at 224, and I think I said that we were going to run for 225 in the game, and I just didn't think Jonah was going to get as many of them as he did. I thought Cam was going to have a little more, and I thought Adam was going to have a little more.
We got there.
Nice, yeah. Anyway, so I want to see Will Rogers be more decisive and be quicker on his decisions. It seemed like he was kind of hesitant with his throws, and we didn't see that. Definitely not in spring game. Spring game looked better, and from what I heard in that fall camp game, whatever they called that a few weeks ago, that he looked good there. I didn't attend that. So yeah, I want to see him a little bit better. I mean, I don't. Okay, how do I say this? Because you're saying you're expecting Jonah to get 150 yards. You want to see that? Okay. Do you want to see? Oh, I know how to word it better. Sorry. I don't want him to get more than 15 carries. So if he gets 150 yards on 14 carries or something, by all means. I was going to say I don't want to see him get 150 yards. Yep. But I don't want to say like that. I want to go off carries because I want to see the ball go around more. A couple reasons, just give some guys more touches and keep Jonah as fresh and healthy as possible throughout the year. As running back, a lot of wear and tear. And then, yeah, I mean, basically, the other thing I want to touch on is the other thing on defense. It wasn't as elite as maybe our pass defense, but our defensive run game, and making sure that we hold them. I want to see them holding them under 100 yards rushing, or somewhat close to that. But I mean, other than that, obviously no injuries. Can't afford any injuries, especially in certain positions that we don't have a lot of depth on. But yeah, just interested in seeing more younger guys play. A lot of freshmen last week. Seeing those guys back out there, or even more if we can. So if I had to put a score on it, I know it's the same number we had last week, but I'd say 35. I think we're in the mid 30s, and yeah, probably 35, 14 or 13 in that range. I think that one of you guys mentioned 13, but yeah. So I think that would make us cover. We're favored by 25.
Like now, what did I enter in Vegas?
Yeah, I think we are going to have a couple of chances. I think we're going to see a step forward from the passing game. I will say, I think the more I see him, and I think it happened a little bit because there were a couple of throws early in the spring game that Will kind of forced, but then he found a really nice rhythm as the spring game progressed. I think that kind of felt like what was the case Saturday night, and I think kind of more so than, I mean, like a lot of quarterbacks are rhythm guys. Will definitely seems like a rhythm guy. And when he kind of starts to feel it, that it'll start flowing. I mean, and obviously he doesn't have Mike's arm. But with that said, there were still a couple of throws Saturday night where
he still has plenty of arm.
He's got a fastball when he needs to.
Yeah,
like it's not to use the Ben Joyce example where Mike Penix has the 105.5 mile an hour fastball. Will's sitting mid 90s, but he's got it. I mean, I do think, I think I'm going to key on, I think Eastern Michigan got to the quarterback last week 6 times. So pass pro is going to be a big deal, both traditional O-line pass pro and, blitz pickup from Jonah, from Cam, from Adam, from Sam, from Daniel. That said, I do think that we find a little more of an offensive rhythm, and I don't think it takes us a quarter or so to get that rolling. I think I'm going to go 42-10. 42-10 or 42-13. I completely.
Someone else had that prediction? What was your guys'?
I said 41-17.
Okay.
I think I said 45-13.
So I agree on Eastern Michigan's point with you, Darker Knight. I just don't know that we give Grady an extra piece of business.
Yeah. I think if our trenches come to play, I think we could see Damon coming out in the third quarter. I think the game.
Is there a quarterback dual threat? Can he run?
A little bit.
He's mobile. I wouldn't call him a dual threat.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that I think in particular, I don't think that's a recipe that unless you have an elite athlete at the quarterback position.
Yeah. He's going to run and look to get down. He's not going to cut back and look to.
Well, and look at I don't remember who hit Munoz when Munoz scrambled, but Munoz got lit up. Like, I think he gained a couple of yards, but he got lit up. This is not the defense that you want your unless your quarterback is an athlete like DeMond Williams or a Kyler Murray or pick a really mobile quarterback. I don't think you want your quarterback out there against this defense with the way at every level of our defense, we have guys with closing speed and a desire to knock your block off. Yeah, I'm so, like I said, I'm keen on pass pro, but I do think this is a comfortable win, and I think the offense gets more of a rhythm. I think we're going to have some fun Saturday.
I just love this coaching staff, especially like hear them all fiery. And it was like, when did they start making arm pads? It was like, see what you hit what you see. There's definitely an emphasis on physicality with this team, which I love.
Are you guys all going to the game?
What was that?
Are you guys going to the game? I think I talked to Hooligan says he's going to try to go.
I might go. I think I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll be there. I'm bringing my folks.
I will not.
For those going early, make sure you get there. So. Make sure you get there early for the dog walk. Jed was saying that they're gonna have a kind of siren like similar to the one in the stadium when the dogs are getting ready to walk down to kind of alert everybody. He wants it kind of rowdy and raucous, and you know what I mean, like just bring the energy starting out. So we can get everybody out there.
Try and be there.
The support, to do what we got to do. Support the dogs, be loud, be proud, and let's come away with this dead.
Yep, I'm going to try and get there for the dog walk. If you see me walking around, please feel free to say hello. I may have a few of these with me. Just saying, they're kind of stylish and they work well on, water bottles, phones, all of the above. Anything else we want to talk about?
I think we good.
All right. Well, then let's call that a wrap. Everybody, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week to recap the matchup with Eastern Michigan and preview the Apple Cup. Yes, it's in September. Thanks for listening. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, baby.
Go
Go
Dogs.
Dogs.